Welcome to the Wavemaker podcast by Tool. I'm Sol Medina Calvoy from the Ocean Opportunity Lab. In this podcast, we dive in with fantastic female founders from around the globe, movers, shakers, and entrepreneurs who are changing the game in ocean and new energies. Let's dive in. Joining me today from San Diego, California, is Caroline Goetler Saunders, Executive Director of Changing Tides Foundation, a women led nonprofit using the power of the ocean, community, and mentorship to uplift and strengthen young women. At Changing Tides Foundation, Caroline leads with a clear belief: when women support one another and have access to spaces where they feel they belong, especially in water, confidence, connection, and community flourish. Through surf based mentorship programs, creative storytelling, and global partnerships, her organization helps young women build skills, courage, and a deep relationship with the ocean. From San Diego beaches to coastlines and around the world, Caroline and her team are expanding, getting access to ocean experiences, fostering women centered communities, and creating pathways for the next generation of female ocean lovers with strength, purpose, and possibility. Welcome, Caroline.
Thank you
Caroline,
so
I'm
much,
sorry, it's Caroline.
Carolyn.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for inviting me onto the podcast today.
We're so excited to learn about Changing Tide. So, can you tell us a little bit more about what your company do?
Sure. So, Changing Tides Foundation works with underserved young women through a confidence building program where we pair teen girls ages 13 through 19 one to one with a female mentor who guides the girls into the ocean. Often, for many of these young women, it's their very first time stepping foot into the ocean. And so, in the beginning, sometimes the girls just go up to their knees and they're holding hands with their mentor, and they're terrified, but they're also excited. And it's amazing to see over the course of several weeks how much more comfortable the girls become as they get more familiar with the ocean. And in the beginning, some of the girls who are the most cautious and apprehensive about getting into the ocean are the ones catching the most waves. And so our programs really create spaces where these young women can build connection, community, and resilience, and they find a
Mhm.
sense of belonging with all of that.
Hmm. And how did you ended up doing this? Like, what was your move from maybe corporate life to entrepreneurship? How was your journey?
Sure. So prior to my time with Changing Tides, I worked in a very corporate New York City based role for most of my career. And during that time, I learned so much. And I really, I'm very appreciative and I value the experience that I had in the corporate world. I find that it's given me a really strong foundation to then step into the role that I'm in now. I moved from New York City to San Diego in 2020. It was a COVID move, leaving the big city and getting closer to a part of the world and access to the ocean, which is very close to my heart. And I joined the board of Changing Tides in 2023. And that's when the journey all began. And last year, in the end of 2024, the position for executive director opened up, and it felt like the right move to step into and to be able to deepen and expand the impact that we're making with young women.
Hmm.
And aside from the career aspect, I've always really deeply believed in the transformative power of the ocean. I've always said to my close friends, and they can vouch for this, that the ocean is my religion. It's the place that I turn to. It's the place that I turn to, in good times and bad times. And to be able to now have my career and the work that I'm doing revolve around the ocean and bringing that transformative power and that transformative experience to young women from underserved communities is incredible to be able to have that as my line of work.
Very nice. Nice transition there. And what has been kind of your biggest challenging on doing this jump? Any surprises or breakthroughs on the way?
So, one of the biggest challenges for me, since I've been in the role of executive director since January of 2025, has been, first of all, as with any new role, getting to intimately know the ins and the outs of the organization, and then identifying the areas that needed change. Changing Tides was founded in 2016. So, as we head into 2026, we're going on 10 years of being a nonprofit. And we're at a point right now where we're poised to take the next step in the evolution of the organization. So, it's a very unique time to come in to lead the organization right now. And, one of the things that was a challenge was really identifying what's working, what's not working, and with what's not working, what changes do I need to make? And some of that has been structural, and some of that has been the team that works with me. And, I think that at the end of the day, we need to continue to always evolve. We need to continue to be agile. And in order to really continue having an impact and scaling, you have to have the right team in place and you have to have the right structure.
Yes.
I think one of the biggest things that I have learned in this role is that at the end of the day, a nonprofit is still a business. And so while it is purpose driven work and you're doing it because you're passionate about it, you still have to have a business lens because you have to be able to secure funding. You have to have the correct, processes and programming in place for the organization to continue to be successful and to continue to grow.
Yes. Yeah. I kind of understand you, and I've been in your shoes, and I know how tough it is. But it's real. It's a business anyway. You need to run it. You need to have a strategy. You need to make it profitable and kind of autonomous in a way, from sponsorships or different kind of support. So yeah, that's a tough learning. So well done. And I know you're doing quite a lot of exciting things for the future. And thinking about the future, when you're looking ahead, like, what is the legacy that do you want to leave by doing the work you're doing with this organization to the world?
The legacy that I want to leave on the is with the young women who participate in our programs, and it's also with the broader community of women globally who identify with the work that we're doing and who are part of our community. With the young women who participate in our programs, the legacy that I want to leave with them is when they realize that when they step outside of their comfort zones, when they push themselves to try something new, when they learn about their bodies, when they learn about the environment, all of that physical, mental, and emotional growth enables them to be in a much better place to then push themselves to achieve their dreams, whether that's through the career path that they take or whether that's through becoming an activist in their community on a particular topic. And the legacy with the global community of women that we have is one where I really want to leave them with the tools and the experience of knowing that when you reach out to women around the world and you have a shared passion, and in the case of Changing Tides, it's a passion about the ocean, and the ocean being kind of our home. And when you reach out to women who share this similarity, you can bring communities together that have incredibly different cultures, incredibly different lifestyles, but you all have this one shared value, which is this love for the ocean and this spirit of community that comes through that.
Yeah, the ocean becomes kind of a mentor for
Exactly.
yourself and for everyone around you. And
Yeah,
it's also kind of a medicine.
absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Um, um, and we believe, and what we enjoy so much about this podcast is that we sometimes have very similar journeys or very similar kind of vulnerabilities when we do this kind of job. And we talk about challenges. And when we face, like, have you faced a personal or a professional difficulty in this journey, and how, if you would like to share with us, and how did you overcome it to come to the other side?
Sure. So I will talk about a personal challenge and also a, I guess, professional or organizational challenge. So the
Mm,
personal challenge for me has been, again, coming from the corporate world, very business focused world, and being very driven and, responding to emails at all hours of the day and night, and then realizing that a lot of individuals in the nonprofit space have a much better work life balance than I might have with my
mm,
background, and learning the delicate balance of, yes, driving the business forward, but also just taking a step back and appreciating the individuals who are involved with the work that we do for who they
mm,
are and for their contribution. Coming from the corporate world, it was, if someone wasn't responding to you within a few hours, you were kind of getting frustrated with them. And there was more of an expectation around
mm,
having that instant and always on work mentality. But with the nonprofit side of things, it's realizing that people are working much more from the heart than they are
mm,
from the bottom line, and have taking that space to appreciate everyone for their own contribution.
mm,
From the professional side of things, I think one of the hardest things for me, and it's one that I'm still working through, is developing a sustainable funding structure for the
yeah.
organization.
Mm,
I don't think it's a unique challenge in the
no.
nonprofit world to be working through this. And some of the changes that I've made in terms of bringing on, this is in progress, it's not complete yet, but bringing on some new board members who have an expertise in the fundraising side of things, whether that's
Mm,
on the nonprofit fundraising side of things or on the corporate fundraising side of things. And
mm,
again, it comes back to building up that team that I mentioned earlier, having the right people with the right expertise.
yeah.
And one of the things that's beautiful about Changing Tides is that the organization was founded by a group of water women, a group of female surfers. And
Mm,
that's where the the pure intention of our mission comes from, and wanting to help. Um, and I think that, you know, this idea of women supporting women is so beautiful, and it comes from the founders. Then, as the organization moves along, you get to a point again where you need to be scaling your programs and growing and evolving.
mm,
And you need to have a balance between the amazing soul surfers and those with more of the fundraising and corporate expertise to help enable strategies to be put into place to help us continue to thrive and continue to exist and continue to make an impact with our programs.
Mm. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, it's not an
No.
easy task,
No.
and it's a balance that it's almost like a daily job to keep that
Absolutely.
tuning in a way. But do you have any kind of life hacks that you could pass and you could recommend to other women that are in similar position as you are?
Yeah, some of the tips that I would recommend are tell people about what you're doing wherever you go, especially if you're really passionate about whatever it is, whether it's, your own business that you founded, whether it's, for profit or not for profit, is when you're really passionate and believe in something, when you talk to people around you. One thing that's really surprised me as I've stepped into this role is how many almost strangers I've been talking to about what we do, and they are so passionate and excited when they learn what it is that our mission is, helping underserved teen girls. And they have such diverse skill sets that,
Mm.
I've had so many people offer to help me. They've been so giving of their time. They've met with me. They've shared their knowledge. They've shared their contacts. They've shared everything with me that they can to be of help. And it's been just this incredible kind of, again, cultivation of community resources. And I think
Mm.
just sharing whatever it is that you're passionate and working on, you never know who you're talking to might be the person to really help you take that next step.
Yeah. And it's a very strong energy. I totally feel that when, like, I also felt that the first time I started working with the Ocean Opportunity Lab. And I remember someone told me when I was talking my view from what I was doing in the Ocean Opportunity Lab, this was very early, but she called me and she said, looked to me in the eyes and said, it's amazing, right? Pass it on. And I was like, yeah, that's it. Like you're truly committed, you communicate, and then you figure out that collaboration it's much easier because you connect in a very, very different level, especially between us women. It's kind of almost like, oh wow, that was magic, and you don't need that many words, but it's just like the connection that we can enable, and that doesn't mean excluding men, but we facilitate that in a very different way, I think.
I completely agree. And the word that you used, magic, is something that has been used several times with gatherings of our female community around the globe. It's this feeling when a group of women get together and it's around, there's this energy that exists.
Mm.
And so many people describe it as this feeling of magic.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what it is, but it's just something that happens when you bring communities of women together.
Yeah, and we say, or well, it's well known that it takes a village to raise a startup, and when you share with some other women, it's also very, very sweet how they kind of like start thinking and give you feedback and try to kind of figure out, introduce, oh, I need to introduce you to her, or you need to talk to someone, or you should read this, or so it's really kind of interesting, especially in the difficult times. But that takes me to my next question with challenges. What has been your biggest hurdle or challenge right now? With is it with the funding, the structure, the transition you're going through, hiring your team or your partners? Where can you point where has been your biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is definitely funding.
Mm.
And I think at least in the United States, with recent federal funding cuts for nonprofits, it's been really challenging because a lot of the large nonprofits that were receiving significant funds at the federal government level, that's been cut. And so the smaller nonprofits like Changing Tides, we apply for grants from smaller foundations, private family foundations, that the
Mm.
larger nonprofits didn't used to have in their network because they were receiving federal funding amounts. And so now that a lot of that has been cut, it's caused quite a there's been quite a downstream movement of large nonprofits applying for smaller grants, and that's
Yeah.
just really compressed the entire
Mm.
ecosystem. So it's harder on everyone, and we've definitely felt that. That's why part of my goal, my biggest goal for the work that I want to be doing with Changing Tides in the next year is outlining a comprehensive, sustainable funding strategy,
Mm.
which is something that we haven't had a really solid strategy for that in the past. And I'm really excited
Mm.
to work with some of
Yeah.
these new board members that I'm bringing on. And again, external resources and community connections on really figuring out a sustainable model. So we're not in a
Mm.
place where every year we're scrambling to try and find new partnerships, find different funding sources. I want it to be something where we have a very firm guideline as to the various resources that we're going to for our funding.
Mm. And how do you think the community, the tool community, could support you on this?
So we are really looking for individual funders, brand
Mm.
partnerships, and community connections in terms of awareness that really can
Okay.
help spread the word about what we're doing and
Mm.
open new doors in terms of tapping into new communities that we may not know of today.
Okay. Mm. And what would be your dream scenario? Like, who could be your ideal partner or investor that you're planning in the next years? Are you able to name someone or a, kind of the requirements that this ideal partner could be?
In terms of our ideal partners, from a brand standpoint or an organizational standpoint, we one of the things that has been quite strong among Changing Tides since the very beginning in 2016 is we really try to partner with brands and organizations that are aligned with our values. So that's women's empowerment focused or women's health focused organizations, ocean preservation,
Mm.
environmentally friendly organizations. We have been very cognizant in the past about not compromising our values by partnering with brands that, for example, have products that are harmful to the environment.
Mm.
And so
Mm.
we really, in an ideal scenario, it's an organization that really aligns with our goals of
Yes.
environmental stewardship, ocean protection, and female empowerment.
Hmm. And is there one thing that you wish you knew when you started?
One thing that I wish I knew when I started was that finding the right individuals to become part of the team, especially at a nonprofit where you're not making a lot of money, comes
Mm.
through those people reaching out to you.
Hmm.
I've had the experience this year where I've had 3 individuals that I hired for different roles, and I sought them out. And, whether it was through a public listing or someone gave me the name of, an individual that they thought would be good for a particular role. And none of them worked out. But the people that I have on my team now are people who reached out to either through our website or to me directly because they were put into contact with me and reached out because they were so passionate about the work that we're doing.
Yes.
And I think in that nonprofits and startups are similar because it's both, you have to be passionate and you have to believe in what you're trying to create and trying to build. And if you don't have a team that share that same passion and aren't fully bought in, chances are it's not going to work out.
Yeah, totally agree. I've done that. Totally understand. You become almost like a stalker, like looking for it and reading about it and following it. It's because it really touches something in you, a kind of a like connects with purpose, and working on purpose, on your purpose is it's something else.
Exactly. And it's interesting. I've been reading data recently about Gen Z. I am not of the Gen Z generation, but apparently the Gen Z workforce, they are much more purpose driven than any previous generation. And so they are actually demanding of their employers that the places where they work align with good values and give back, which I think is really interesting. And that's something, again, that goes for anyone in the tool community who has their own business or for nonprofits as well, is this alignment with values coming from the younger generation. And it's something that's really important for them. They don't just want to be going into an office and getting a paycheck. They want to feel like their contribution is actually giving back and making a greater impact, which I think is so exciting. Hopefully they can change the world.
Yeah, exactly. We can. And in that line, like if you have a bold ask to the audience, how can the audience help you? People who are listening, what could you ask them?
What I would ask for people listening is for those with whom our mission of empowering underserved young women through community mentorship and developing a relationship with the ocean, if that message resonates with you, I would love to chat further. I would love to connect with you. I would love for you to share what you've heard today about our work with your community. And if you are a brand who's looking to partner, I would love to have a conversation. And I just appreciate the sharing of our mission with people who care about uplifting young women and expanding access to the ocean.
Yeah, it's a very noble cause, and I think there will be a few knocking at your door, hopefully. And thinking about people who inspire you, is there any woman who has been kind of a big inspiration or someone to follow that you would like to spotlight? And could you please share why?
Absolutely. One woman who has really inspired me and continues to inspire me almost daily is actually a Changing Tides Foundation ambassador. And her name is Katie McConnell. She is a professional big wave surfer, and she's also a marine biologist. And
Mm.
she has worked in many things. She's incredibly smart. And she is absolutely passionate about ocean ecology and protecting our oceans. And she couples this with being one of the leading female big wave surfers in the world. And she has also spent time on, she's been a National Geographic explorer. She spent time living in the ocean on scientific research vessels. And she really just, she embodies courage, leadership, and community. And she's so strong. And she lives and works in a field that is so male dominated. And
Mm.
she is at the top of that world, and she is just so incredibly inspiring in everything that she
Oh,
does.
amazing. Yeah, I'll have a look and reach out to her. Thank you.
Fantastic.
And if you could talk to your young self, thinking as well, by doing that, you inspire the younger generations entering into this industry or this work. What would be the advice that you will give?
I would say push yourself outside of your comfort zone. You
Hmm.
can do it. When you step outside of your comfort zone and step outside of what's familiar to you, that's where the growth happens. And when you
Hmm.
stop doing that, it's so easy to just sit back and kind of get complacent. And
Yes.
so I would say never stop pushing yourself. And I also think that us women sometimes, because we don't have the same ego necessarily as men, we can doubt ourselves. We think, oh, I'm
Hmm.
not qualified to do this. But you are.
Hmm.
You just have to push yourself, be open to learning, continue to always be learning, do as many free workshops, seminars, contact as many people as you can who are in your field or who inspire you, and get together with them and have conversations with them, and always continue learning and pushing yourself.
Yeah. Get out of your comfort. I like
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Thank- Yeah, thank you so much. Is there any other thing that you would like to add or say before we finish this podcast?
I think that one of the things that has really become clear to me, it actually started from the time that I was pregnant with my son, and it's
Hmm.
continued to become even stronger through my work that I now do with Changing Tides, is the power of women supporting women
Hmm.
and the incredible difference that that can make in the world.
Yes. Yeah. Powerful.
It's very powerful.
Incredible. Yes. Thank you so much, Caroline, for your time and your lovely words. And we will follow and continue this conversation. To everyone listening, see you next time.
Thank you so
Goodbye.
much. I appreciate the time.